Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world today. I hope you are fantastic. I've got something I would like to share with you and trial out, and I'm pretty excited to see the results. Before I get into that, I just want to say from a place of compassion that if you're struggling right now with whatever's going on, where it's could be finances, if it's relationships, if it's changes in your trajectory, things are meant to be testing you, as horrible as that sounds. Universally speaking, the first half of June at least is putting a lot of pressure on a lot of people to address the things that they have been negating or neglecting. I can very strongly stand into that to say that I've been really tested on all fronts, emotionally and beyond. However, in changing my ways, things are starting to seem brighter, lighter, more positive, and the approach to life that I've adopted these days is coming from a lot stronger of a place than I once had it, and I feel that in the passing moments. So just give yourself compassion. Pardon me. Try not compare yourself to anyone else right now, because social media can be a disease like that. Other people seem to be having it better. Yeah, I suppose there's that argument, but also, there's a lot of doom and gloom out there. So just don't pay too much attention to anyone else's story. Focus on your own, and offer yourself a lot of forgiveness. Life can be hard. Move forward, and then metamorphosize, I suppose, as a cocoon into, or caterpillar into a butterfly might. As cliche as it sounds, for anyone who needed to hear this message or can resonate with it, it's for you to hear. So there's not much to say about Bitcoin right now. However, we can just go through it still. There's progression along the Gantt square, as I made mention to in the last major updates about the price direction. It's just waiting for it to kind of crawl along there. The lower time frames tend to agree. There seems to be some really slow crawling action on the 512. So keeping an eye on the 512, because it's suggesting that we're moving from a 4 up into a 5. I think that's a bit of, I'd say, objective, audacious. Yeah, I would say that this point here is a bit audacious. I've been proven wrong in the past. Maybe it does go up there for a little while and then drop back down again. But I've closed my short positions because I don't necessarily want the drawdown to negatively affect the account. So I'm waiting for it to perhaps get to this point, buy the high, and then ride it down to the low. However, that's going to take a few days to unravel, and might not even get up to either of these points. It might just drop a little bit before then. The 128's been pretty difficult to navigate as well, because we're in that dreaded ranged area. So not a lot of information provided here. It is trying to say that it's interacting with this Gantt square. It's kind of gone up. Let me zoom in perhaps. So it's gone up, came down, tested the kill zone again, just crawled along this arc 1, shot up along the 1/2, did some more resistance crawling, got back to the 1/1, crumbled down to the 1/2 on the downside, and we're going to see what happens here. So if it breaks below that, if it starts to enter in this kind of region, then I'll probably open up a short again. However, I'm wanting to first see what happens over the next 48 hours before opening up a position. So that's the market update. I think there's not much on the 32. It seems to be not telling a very easy to follow story. It's as you've seen on the higher frames, quite ranged in any case, so I'm not paying too much attention to the lower time frames. Maybe it is an indication that price wants to go down, who knows. So an idea that I wanted to share with you, and this is not trial and tested, but just merely an idea, is man, I can't see that 5 there, sorry, let me just take that away. I think 4 over there might make better sense to get into a better move towards 5 from there. We'll see. To give us some indication, I was thinking of maybe leaning into the abilities of AI and do the work that has been really interpretational in the past, and just give us some form of potential guidance from a astro trading side of things. So again, like the system that I've designed is to be very easy and functional, and that actually looks pretty good at the turning point potentially here, and usable. Whereas astro trading and keeping up with a whole bunch of different elements can be quite challenging. Leaning into the tools and having a set of rules and that sort of thing is a lot easier to digest and to follow through with. However, there are some students that have wanted that next level and wanted to get into astro trading, which is kind of where I began to get where I am now, or eventually grew into to get to where I am now. And what I was thinking is that with the Ganzilla, instead of putting in the deep research and jumping into the elements of where we could be today and maybe not, and get carried away with certain elements that are difficult to measure, I thought, let's perhaps put the information into ChatGPT or to Grok and see what it feels will be the best way forward. So I'm just, whilst I say that, getting reacquainted with the options we have here, because I still want to see if we can adjust the time settings to give us a 30-minute chart to see whether or not perhaps that changes the outcome of the astro information or not. And what I want to do is go across to the size element, and I mean this, I've never done this before, I've always worked with 10s, but I'm going to put in 30 over there and see whether or not that helps us. It does feel wrong to use 30, so maybe I'll just kind of stick to 10 for now, and just reacquaint. Sorry, I should have done this maybe before I went live. I don't want to mess with that too much. And yeah, and perhaps plug in some numbers. So we're at 105,000, and we normally put in the low. So for the cycle, that would be 103,650. And then go to increments. I would say, well, this is actually what I wanted to change. Okay, so 10 is the minimum on that. Or maybe I can zoom out here then. A bit difficult to see the numbers. I apologize for that, but you just got to work with what we have. So I was thinking perhaps if we change the increments to blocks of 30, would that change the configuration of what the planets are doing right now? And I don't think it would, but let me just try with 300 to see if anything changes below. And they're saying it seems to be quite static. So the top section is to work with the numbers available inside our support and resistance. The well, what is called again? Basically, the grays areas are the support and resistance, and that's where you can kind of measure. Let me just kind of clean it up so it's less messy. These gray areas they got special names, and that's basically where price is magnetized towards within the range of where the price is currently. Without getting way too overcomplicated, what I'm going to do instead is just go on with the idea that I had, and that is to put in where the planets are in the null moment. And take that into something like an AI, like I'm using Grok right now. And see what it has to say about today's configuration. Will price go up or will price go down? Just giving Grok a minute to think. And let's hear its response. So it picks up here about the sun at 14 degrees Gemini. So this is just kind of confirmation to make sure that it's reading the information from the image correctly more than anything. So we see here the sun at 14%. So the sun is at 14%. And then Jupiter is at 29%. So those are both correct. And we're on Gemini right now. So that's also correct. It gives us the moon and its potential shift. And then Mars 23 in Leo. And so on. So it gives us your planetary average position of 22, which is correct at the bottom. You can see over here, the average. Looking at our key aspects down below. So it's doing all of the analysis on our behalf, which has been quite tough in the past because there's different schools of thought when it comes to astro trading. Putting this into the LLM for the time being still opens up to where its logic is coming from, which school of thought is deriving this analysis. But I suppose from not doing it or having nothing to it providing its best guess, it might be best to lean into whatever it suggests for now, and then maybe you can refine it if it provides positive results. All right, so it talks about the different aspects, Sun, Mercury, Jupiter. So now we're looking at the table as to where my mouse is kind of swirling around and the way that these are interacting. To read some of the things it's saying the tight elements, the tight alignment within 15 degrees amplifies volatility and suggests potential for upward movement. So there's a point for upward movement. Then we've got here bullish potential, so movement up, particularly for the tech-related assets such as Bitcoin. Then the next aspect, short-term pullback, so just watch out for that. But allow for the broader trend to resume, so that's on point. Then we've got here another bullish suggestion and some short-term fluctuations or choppiness and uncertainty. Okay, so the timing constrictions, we wanted to have it New York open bell. So the time zones are very important because this relevance to someone in Hong Kong or in Mumbai versus kind of the New York environment, that's a whole science in itself. So because I feel that New York is the strongest geological, capital orientated collective on the planet, I think a lot of people can agree with that. It's best to kind of work with the New York open bell in New York time. So then here it goes, its conclusion. All right, so we've got here bullish movement. Okay, the conclusion. The overall direction for Bitcoin at the New York open bell today appears to be up. All right, so we'll keep that in mind. However, expect some initial volatility or a major pullback due to the moon square aspect. So we look for the moon. All right, so we look for its squaring. I don't really see a square there. Let me read on. Before the bullish trend takes hold. Okay, so maybe the time of day that my local PC is reflecting might not be in line with the time zone for New York. So how I change that? All right, so that did make a change in the information. Suppose I should maybe reevaluate. Okay, so these are the kind of things that matter when it comes to astro trading. The time of day, the date, very important. Time zone, very important. So what I'm going to do is run this again. And another consideration, shall I say, by adjusting this is that I'm concerned of aligning it with my time zone instead of the New York time zone. So instead of just automating it, I'm going to put in a manual input and I'm going to say 9:40 a.m. And you can see that there is a slight adjustment here. We've got oppositions between Moon and Neptune and such. All right, so where I'm coming from here, just real quick, is that living in an existence of an electromagnetic world or like reality, we look at where the biggest draw of influence would be for electromagnetism. And if we kind of get out of our limited lives and understanding of our day-to-day and look at our solar system as a whole, then the gravitas, the gravity from the different planets and the time-space influence that they have within our fields will give us guidance as to what is happening in the now moment. So that's the reason why this is relevant or significant. And just adjusting the time, there has been some movements with the planetary aspect. So what I'm going to do real quick is just do another screenshot, plug it in for another analysis, and see if it still feels the same way. All right, so I've adjusted the time to make the forecast more relevant as it was set for midnight previously. So let's have another go at it. And then I just press command paste, delete it as now it's in, and let's just have another look to see if it still feels there'll be bullish sentiment. This time though, I'm going to press stop, as I kind of raised a point earlier that there are different schools of thoughts. It does take a little bit longer, but I'm going to go with deep search just to see what it feels may be correct. However, I'm hoping that it will work with the screenshots. Let's have a go. So what I'm looking for here is just to see the initial thoughts. Okay, the request about the 30-minute open ball is correct. I just want to see if it picks up the image that I've just screenshotted in. Okay, now it's just going through all the different areas of influence on this topic. Now I'm just chatting to the community on the subject real quick whilst we wait. It seems we have a finalization of thought, and then the report has been provided. Okay, so I'm going to kind of skip down. Actually, I'm not going to even do that. I'm going to say provide a short and concise summary of what the report says. Almost like an executive summary for lazy executives who don't want to read the whole thing. Okay, so the report predicts that Bitcoin's price on the 30-minute chart at the New York Open Bowl at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, June 4th, 2025. It's boring information, that stuff, but it's super relevant. Will likely go up. Okay, so astrological analysis using Ganzilla shows initial volatility from a sun-moon opposition. So that's what we saw over here. It's that opposition over there, those red lines. Underneath there might be something going. There's opposition between Moon and Saturn as well, and Moon and Neptune. So I'm not sure why it said Sun-Moon, so maybe I got that wrong. But okay, now I picked it up. The Sun-Mercury conjunction and Jupiter-Uranus sextile favor upward movement. All right, so these are the things that could pull price up potentially. We'll have another look at the market after we've read this. Market data confirms this, with Bitcoin rising from 105. I mean, a win's a win. Okay, so $105,040 to $105,150. So $110 up, I suppose. I mean, a win's a win around the open bell, supported by the bullish sentiment, institutional buying, and surging US money supply. Volatility is possible due to the Mars influence. All right, so that kind of sucks because it looks like price is actually going down. Which sucks for me because I need to get into a short position to get this short going down from the higher time frames. For me, the big question mark has been here on the 512. It's the reason I closed my positions. But I know on the 2048 it wants to go down. So again, I suppose, well, I'll wait to get off the live stream to open up because I don't want to keep you too much longer. I don't know, an interesting exercise, I suppose, to jump into to see whether or not trading can navigate us through the ups and downs. But yeah, it said there's going to be some volatility to the upside. Kind of did that for a short while, but not really bankable. I mean, unless it was just talking about that. And where I talk about that being unnecessary work on top of how much trading requires of us, is that you would have to kind of keep the information up to date and get updated. It doesn't seem like it changed too much there. Information every time that a planetary aspect moves. So with that said, I prefer, don't go down too much. No, I need to open up this position. I'm going to jump off the stream. I'm going to open up position. We're not going to necessarily lean too heavily into today's findings from the Ganzilla. But I do feel that because of MTOPS being as strong as it is, I want to get into this short position. It's already Wednesday. I said we're going to get down to 99,000 by Friday, and I'm going to lean back into that. So that's it for today. We can try this again tomorrow, but for now, time to open that position, buying high, selling low. Ciao.